Do you know what the worst part about building a base in Minecraft is? I'll tell you, it's roofing. It's boring, repetitive, and usually not that creative, which is why I made this. This is an automatic roof generator, and using it is as easy as this. So if you want to see how I made this, then stick around because I'm going to show you. So I've hopped over into a super flat world, and we're gonna go over first how you can get this with the structure in the description, and then I'm gonna show you how it worked and how I made it, and then I'll show you how to use it, what it's capable of doing, and its limitations. So to get it in your world, you're gonna need a structure block, and you're gonna have to download the structure from the description. To get a structure block, you'll just use this command, and then you'll come over here anywhere in your world, and you can place it, and then you'll click load, import, find the file on your computer, and then load. Now I've already done this, and I've actually done it a few times, but once you get it into your world, you're gonna be left with this. Now when you get it in your world, it won't have all this wool on the ground, but I've used the wool to help break down this video and show the different components. And just as a note, if you want to download the map with the color-coded command blocks to look at how the commands work, I'll leave a download for the map in the description as well. Now as you can see, there's 6 different colors, and those are the 6 different sections that I thought I'd break it down into. We're gonna start here with the red wool, and what these command blocks are is simply setup. So when you get this structure into your world, you're gonna press this button, and all these command blocks will run, and you'll get this final message saying done. That means that the commands ran properly, and really all this is it's setting up like game rules and scoreboards and a ticking area so that everything works. The second area is going to be the orange wool, and what the orange wool is responsible for doing is it's testing for spawn eggs. And you'll see in the chest you have 2 spawn eggs, point A and point B, very creatively named, I know. This command block is only testing for point A, and when it finds point A, it's going to summon some armor stands at that point, give them a tag and a score. And so if you see, we'll do an example right here. You spawn point A, you'll get 1 armor stand above, 1 armor stand below, and 1 armor stand right where you place the spawn egg. Listing the tags of these armor stands, you'll see it had, let me just do it again. It had 3 tags: base, W pointer, and pointer. These are just variables. The W pointer is wood pointer, pointer. We'll get into what all these mean later. But that's all this command block string does, is it's testing for that and summoning the armor stands, giving them tags. This static, you'll see this in almost all my builds. This is just teleporting the armor stand to itself. That way, when you spawn this armor stand, it's not gonna fall, it's just gonna float in the air. That way you don't have to worry about gravity while we're just trying to run some fun commands. Now we're into this yellow section. This is where the commands start to get a little bit complicated, but it's where things start to get fun as well. So in the yellow section, we'll see we have 2 rows of command blocks, and they say the same thing face toward, and they do the same thing, but with different armor stands. So this one is for facing the pointer, this one is for facing the wood pointer. And so I'm just going to turn the pointer on for now, and I'm going to show you how it works. So when you spawn in your armor stands, you're going to be left with these, and these top armor stands will come down and they will point at the closest armor stand to you. This is how the contraption knows which wall it's building the arch to and which wall it's building the wood to. And so that's what the one on the right does. The one on the left, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's pointing the other armor stand to the furthest armor stand. So if we put one on each corner, you're gonna see they all point one to the closest, which for these 2 is pointing to the other one this way. And you'll also see, when we look at all 4, for these bottom 2, they're pointing to the furthest armor stand away from them this way. Now this was one of the hardest parts to figure out when making this contraption, because it's really the only technically complicated portion of this build. However, everything relies on it, so it's very important I got this right. And so I'm going to try to explain why this is important real quick. Assuming this armor stand is our base, we need this armor stand to point where we want the arch to go, and then this armor stand needs to point us which way the wood is going to be built. And it doesn't need to be perfect because we're working with only 4 cardinal directions. So as long as you're not building a perfect square, it will be slightly closer to one side, which allows this to know which direction it needs to build the wood. Now we're moving on to the portion with the lime green wool, and this is where it starts to get cool and we actually build part of our roof. This string of command blocks on the right hand side is titled set stone, and it's a very long string, but it does a very simple task. I'm going to turn it on and show you what it does, and then we will talk about how it does it. Same with this end function. I'm just going to turn it on because it's necessary right now. So once you have all your armor stands placed in the corners where you want your roof to be built, you're simply going to place this second spawn egg point B, and it will start the contraption. And this is what you're going to be left with just up to these green blocks. You'll get a frame for your house, and you'll get all these armor stands pointing the correct direction. Before we want to understand how this works, we need to first understand deeper how this works. And the direction is a scoreboard that is determined by the rotation of these armor stands relative to this first armor stand that we spawned. And so you'll see I've turned on the display on the right side to display a direction. And so this armor stand and this armor stand are facing this direction, which is 1. However, this armor stand and this armor stand are facing this direction, which I've called 3. These armor stands also have another armor stand that they use to detect the other direction of the roof. This is the W direction scoreboard. As you can see, it is the opposite of the normal direction. These two are 0, whereas these two are 2. There's another scoreboard objective called height, and this simply is just measuring the height of your roof as you build it. And as the height gets higher, like here, it'll start putting in more gaps to build an arch to your roof. Now back to what we were originally talking about. This lime green wool section is simply testing which direction your armor stands are facing, and then placing the appropriate stair to match that direction so that we get this nice smooth arch. All of these are doing that, and then they're going to summon an armor stand, which we'll use later, giving it the scoreboard to be facing the appropriate direction later. In this other line of command blocks titled the end function, this is simply testing the armor stands as they come up so that when they both converge on this point, they recognize it's time to stop building. They'll place this final block here, and then they'll delete themselves. Now moving on to the blue wool sections, this is our final complex part, and then the purple is just timing. Now this blue section on the right, this is facing the armor stands. Facing wood stands is what it's titled, and I'm going to show you what it's responsible for doing. I have all my armor stands set up. I'm going to activate it, and then I will point out the very short moment that these command blocks are responsible for. There it was. That row of command blocks, this right section on the blue, is simply responsible for taking all these armor stands we spawned on our way up, facing them the right direction, and then pushing them 1 block out. Now this left portion, this is going to be setting the wood. And what that means is all these armor stands are responsible for building the wood that corresponds with the roof, and all of that is taken care of in this line of command blocks. Very similar to the row of command blocks that place the stone stairs, these command blocks are testing the direction so that they place the appropriate spruce stairs. And on this bottom row, it's going to place cobblestone stairs so that we have a nice lining all the way along. At the very end of this line of command blocks, there's also this kill wood. That just means that if this armor stand runs into a block that's not air, it's going to die. Pretty much this will only happen when the armor stand runs into the other half of the roof because they're going to converge in the center. But if you do have another roof that you're trying to build it through as well, then it'll run into that roof and stop so that you can combine these roofs. Now with both these blue command blocks out of the way, that's pretty much the entirety of how this build works. So I'm going to show you what it works so far. Boom, boom. You have a simple roof, a nice arch, and it took no time to make. So now all that's left for us to cover is this purple wool section, and this is all the timing of the command blocks. Originally, I made this so that it could be one long line of command blocks, but it was having so many problems that I decided it was easier to build it this way so that everything could be timed out. So you'll see the purple wool goes down the entirety and then comes out at the ends. And all it's really responsible for doing is testing for armor stands with specific tags so that we know which part of the process we're in. So this one will search for an armor stand with the base tag and ready. This one back here does the same thing. And then these two are searching for the tag go wood. This tag is given to an armor stand when both the points converge at the top and the armor stands are deleted. That way the command blocks know it's time to build the wood roof. Now once the armor stands are built and they're pushed out 1 block, they're given the tag W ready. And this command block at the left on the purple is testing for that tag. And that's how it knows it's time to build the rest of the wood. And that's everything. That's how this creation works. Now, if you're still confused about how to use it, I'm going to quickly show you a couple demos and explain its strengths and its weaknesses. Now, building a roof is very simple. You're going to place your point A spawn egg on each of the corners, and then your point B to make everything go. And it'll go just like that. Now, it is worth noting that depending on how you're framing your house, you may want to bring out your frames one block before you build the roof, because it's going to start with a stone layer and then go into spruce. So you'll see, bring it out one layer, gets you this effect, which I like on a lot of my houses, but I mean, you could do what you want really. One feature I thought it would be really cool to build into this contraption is allowing you to do it with an uneven frame. Like you see here, these 4 wood blocks, they don't form perfect 90-degree angles. However, this should still work. And you'll get a tilted roof. It's not the prettiest thing. On a bigger scale, it looks a lot better, but I think it's a cool feature. One caveat I should mention here is that the roof generator doesn't work well with very small, very square builds. Now you'll see here on this setup that while one side is slightly longer than another, it's very close, and so if we try and build it, we may not get it working quite right. And you'll see there, it kind of glitched. It built one wall this way, it built one wall that way. This one, it didn't do that. That one, we got a stair coming out the side. You will notice when it gets down to this very close scale between walls, it runs into a lot of issues. And that's about everything. Now, I had a lot of fun building this creation for you guys, and I was very motivated because I love building, but I do not like roofing. And I want to take this time to plug myself real quick, because this command creation relied heavily on the use of scoreboards, and they can be very difficult to use, especially in Bedrock. So if you are confused and you want to learn more about that command, I just dropped a tutorial and you should check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more, consider subscribing. And I'll see you next time.